Trap, 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 trap. Hi everyone, I'm Zach and I like movies, and it is time for a review of the latest M. Night Shyamalan experience, Trap. This is the 16th feature film from the one, the only M. Night Shyamalan, the lover of twist endings and writer of odd dialogue. You love him, you probably don't if you were on the internet, especially in like the early to mid 2010s, where he was just a serious punching bag for internet movie critics. But lately he's had quite a bit of a resurgence with these really exciting, probably the most exciting period of his career, with these self-funded bottle thrillers that he's got cooking up, and he's been cranking these out pretty consistently too. Like you had Knock at the Cabin, which was barely over a year ago, I think, and Old, which despite coming out in the midst of the COVID pandemic, amidst of a bad COVID episode in 2021, still managed to find some success. And now we have Trap, which brings us yet another of the with him cooking up another of these high concept bottle thrillers, which in here you have a pretty great concept where you have father and a daughter who's played by Josh Hartnett. He plays the dad, he's Cooper, and Riley, his daughter, played by Ariel Donaghue. They go to see this concert for this singer called Lady Raven, who's played by Saleka Shyamalan, who is M. Night's daughter, who's just put on this concert film just to show off how like, hey, look at my beautiful, talented daughter. Look how cool her singing is. But turns out this concert is Trap. It's a big sting operation to catch this serial killer called the Butcher. Lame serial killer name, but what's fun is that Cooper is the serial killer. He's the Butcher. Sure. So you have. And like you saw from the trailer, what you have is a really goofball, dorky girl dad who's balancing his two lives of his family, being here, spending time, living in the moment with his daughter, and having to like evade the cops and the feds who are trying to capture him because, well, his passion for serial killing is getting in the way of things. Now, I think with M. Night Shyamalan making another movie, you're gonna get a lot of probably that same discourse. Like yeah, there is still discourse about M. Night Shyamalan's dialogue. Like I get it if it's not like really, if it doesn't really like land for you, if the tone that it evokes and the characterization just feels off to you. I understand if that just like, doesn't gel with you. I've been there. And to be clear, there's Shyamalan movies where that does not, where like stuff like the dialogue or the tone or his like the way his like attempt at executing this high concept doesn't really work for me. I really did not like The Visit. I thought that movie was so boring, and I really did not like Glass. But even so, I think sometimes like early Shyamalan, when he lands, he really lands. He knocks it out of the park, and even in something that I didn't fully grasp at first, like Old, class, cool concept, but like some weird choices. But like I always feel like with Shyamalan, there's something about him that really makes me ask, why did he choose to make these choices? Why shoot from this curious angle? Why have these characters talk the way they do? But if you're kind of not already on that wavelength of how Shyamalan writes character interactions and writes dialogue, then like I feel like if you haven't sort of made peace with the way he writes dialogue, especially when he's been doing writing dialogue this way for the better end of 30 years now, then I have to assume that it's probably like at least a remnant of that like early 2010s like being an internet punching bag, you know, like with him and Michael Bay and whatnot. But it is part of the style. It's part of why people like what he does and why he like it's not it's part of his aesthetic. It's why it's not an accident that he writes like that. And honestly, what really makes Trap work is that the way that the dialogue is done is that, yeah, it is kind of heightened because, and it actually works a lot better because of how just, you know, probably because like mostly I think because of Josh Hartnett, who I think really strikes this really fun balance between being that dorky dad, like a real lovable goofball kind of guy. You know, he's got plenty of dad jokes. He tries to embarrass Riley with like him attempting and failing at slaying, but he strikes a great balance between that and this like pure pulpy like B-movie sociopathy. Like you saw like they show it in the trailer, but like that wonderful close-up of like him just like reacting, like trying to like he's smiling and laughing, but like passing off that like he's absolutely furious and losing it on the inside. I didn't just his lip just like, and you get a lot of the fun here is just like watching him like try to make up these just such ridiculous excuses to just to his daughter that he has to like just leave. It's just like yeah, I gotta go to the bath. Hey, I gotta go to the bathroom. Oh, I left my credit card at the merch store. Hey, look. Hey, look. There's a tunnel under there's a tunnel under where the pop-up stage are. We should look. Yeah, it'd probably be cool to look down there. Probably got shirts and things. And it's such a black. It's so much fun to just watch him just just become this like weird alien version of like a girl dad, and it's yeah, and like all that stuff is fun, and you get all these kinds of like cat and mouse scenes, but like from the point of view of the cat, he's this like, you get a lot of that like fun stuff about like a guy, a crafty guy who knows he's caught, but is like trying. He's like being put in increasingly more and more like increasingly tense situations where like either he has to like try to charm his way out or just like make some kind of like escape that he can't possibly get out of this, and yet he does, and it's so clear to me that Shyamalan is just having a ball with what he's doing here. And I think, and also like visually speaking, this is a really like all of Shyamalan's movies, his recent stuff has all looked really, really good, and this one is no exception. And big props to his cinematographer, who I am probably going to butcher this name, Sayombhu Mukdeeprom, who is a renowned cinematographer out of Thailand, who was a go-to DP for might also bear to this name, Apichatpong Weerasethakul, who was like one of the masters of Thailand's slow cinema, but who recently has found a lot of success in the West as a go-to cinematographer for Luca Guadagnino's films, from Call Me by Your Name and his Suspiria remake to even this year with Challengers. And there's clearly also a lot of shared fun that he's having with Shyamalan in like some of these like really fun camera blockings and just these like cool overhead shots and panning shots. Like Shyamalan loves a panning shot, and he like gets some like really cool ones out of here. Like there's this great one where it'll pan around Josh Hartnett as like everyone raises their phone. Everyone in the stadium raises their phone and turns on the light of their phone, and it just it's a dazzling little shot. And there's a good split diopter shot that just screamed De Palma. I got a lot of like bunch of film nerd energy off of some of the shots in here, and it's just gets a lot of fun, and it's like he's clearly channeling a lot of Hitchcock too, movies like a bit of Rope and The Man Who Knew Too Much, and like a lot of De Palma movies that are also just ripping off of Hitchcock. Although I would have to say that some of the concert film aspect of it feels felt a tad lacking. Like a good chunk of the concert footage that they're playing for Saleka is mostly from this this wide shot that's very that's pretty standard. It feels like very intentional and there's a very minimal, if no coverage at all. Shyamalan's not making stop making sense here or anything, but it does come off a little bland and a little there could have been a bit more juice there. But as the movie went on, I started thinking about what Cooper was doing, and how he was how this movie really started. It started working me on working more for me, not just in a formal level in terms of its thrills and how it works is all the cat and mouse stuff of Hartnett trying and failing of he'll try to find a way out, but he'll be forced to pull back a little, and it started working me more in terms of what I started seeing the movie and what Shyamalan usually does when it comes to his very earnest love of family and families in dire straits. When it comes to families in dire straits, it's something that's been really echoing throughout, even from Sixth Sense to all the way to Knock at the Cabin, and here too, because this movie and it pretty much started really clicking for me when we finally get to M. Night Shyamalan's cameo, which he does. I don't think that's really a spoiler. He's always there somewhere, where sometimes and especially lately he's a lot more I tend to like it more when he's very obvious with what he is, with what his cameos are, and not to give away what his cameo is, but it started clicking what he was doing in a more thematic and more and some of the more ideas behind Trap, where it started working about what he was about, because he's clearly not just giving his daughter Saleka her own concert film as it felt like a step of, it felt like a kind of a step above it's not just a pure, it doesn't feel like a pure act of just naked nepotism. It felt more like something self-reflective in what he was doing, as a filmmaker, because and as a parent, because with Cooper and his urges to be the butcher, he felt it feels like Shyamalan is sort of being he's once again being earnest with the audience about how he feels about when the passions sort of get in the way of family time. And without giving too much away about where this movie ends up, it does lead to interesting psychology, not just of Cooper, but also a lot of some kind of sad thoughts that Shyamalan has had as both a filmmaker and a parent, where he feels that I do love what I do and I love my family, but sometimes I think I like one more than the other, and I feel kind of guilty about that. And maybe I'm reading, maybe I'm like armchair psychoanalyzing Shyamalan here, but like I thought that was really interesting and just sort of like gave the movie extra juice. I think really when it needed it, because like as much as Shyamalan really nails that like hour 40-ish minute runtime, I do think this movie does suffer from a slump here or there in terms of like some of the suspense and definitely like the more ridiculous plot turns it goes. There's not like so much of a twist here, but they do like the more ridiculous these escapes that Hartnett pulls off, it gets crazier and just probably stupider. And like, man, if you're the type of moviegoer that like that is like big on like pointing out plot holes and trying to make logical consistencies in movies work, one, fix yourself, and like if you're like, my God, if like this would have like made so much noise like back when CinemaSins was just like the bulk of like what online movie criticism was, because there's a lot of plot holes, there's a lot of contrivances here, and a lot of just like impossible escapes. And but like I sort of took that more as just like that's just like, just part of the fun. Just like, how's he gonna get out of there? Oh, he did it. And it only really bothered me like maybe once, where like they had this like impossible escape, and then they just gave an impossible escape on top of that, which felt like very like, in terms of like plotting, felt like very, it felt like it like took a left, and then but like they took the left into a cul-de-sac and then back again, and it felt like did you really need that? I feel like you maybe could have left that out, just kind of streamline things a little. You would just kind of keep things rolling, keep things up, and honestly, I was a little forgiving of it, because again, where things ended up, and just again how much fun this movie was. It's a blast, and it's probably also not just the most self-aware and self-reflective of Shyamalan movies, but it's also probably the funniest, like intentionally funniest Shyamalan movie that I've seen really since he's come back, I think. It probably won't work for everybody, but there's always something about Shyamalan that I really root for. I really find interesting, and yeah, I think it really worked for me. I had a lot of fun. I had just an absolute blast. This was a really fun movie, and I don't know. I also thought that maybe Saleka wasn't like the best. Maybe like didn't give the best performance, but I thought her music was fun. Kind of feels like I don't know. Maybe like if you're into something like Boy Genius, you might like her stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it definitely gave me some thrills and some stuff to think about. And yeah, I guess that's kind of all I could really ask for, and all I really want out of a Shyamalan movie. And yeah, just Trap. Yeah, Brat Summer's over, Trap Fall begins, and yeah, nothing. Yeah, can't really say anything more than that. Other than I think this won itself a decent to strong 7 from me. Definitely one of the better Shyamalan movies of his recent stuff. And yeah, gotta man, feels good when he wins. Like again, like he doesn't always work for me, but when Shyamalan lands, he hits it so well. And yeah, good stuff. And yeah. So what did you think? Why did you find Trap? Did you like where it went? Did you also have fun? Are you also happy to see are you also happy to see Josh Hartnett in a movie again? So good to have the Josh-essence, I guess. The Hartnett renaissance between this and just having him in Oppenheimer too. And yeah, that's my review. Comment, like, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you also saw Trap. Hope you also are a fan of Shyamalan, because yeah, he's He's really got it. He's really got it. So yeah, that's my review. I'm Zach. I like movies. I have a lot more movies to watch, and I hope you watch them too later.